Well, folks, just when we thought the dust had settled after that fiery on-campus blowout between Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and young Baron Trump, guess who just stepped into the ring? Melania. Yes, that Melania Trump. The former First Lady, the silent shadow behind Donald's chaos, the woman known for her iconic stoicism, her carefully measured words, and a fashion game that could choke a Vogue editor. But this week, Melania broke her silence. And what came out? Let's just say, Jasmine Crockett wasn't having it. It started with a slick little video uploaded to an exclusive supporter newsletter linked to a PAC orbiting Trump's inner circle. In it, Melania sits, pristine, poised, lips glossed and sharp. The message? Short, cold, surgical. My son is not a political target. He is a young man with dignity, unlike certain elected officials who build careers on tearing down children. Oh, it was elegant, vague enough to claim deniability, but pointed enough that no one in Washington missed the memo. Twitter, X, lit up like Christmas in July. Hashtag leave Barron alone, hashtag Melania strikes back. And even more ironic hashtags like Jasmine the Bully began trending, mostly from conservative bots and MAGA diehards. But Jasmine, she didn't blink. She didn't hide. She leaned in. That same evening, during a late-night interview on an independent black media platform, Jasmine Crockett dropped what can only be described as a velvet-coated grenade. I don't know who told Melania this was the week to wake up, but if she wants to step into the conversation, she better be ready to have it all the way. Boom. No yelling, no rage, just cool, calm authority. That kind that rattles people more than shouting ever could. And here's the thing, Crockett wasn't just defending herself. She laid down the real issue. The Trumps love to play the victim when someone claps back. But this is politics. If your son wants to make statements about civil rights, race, or legislation, he's not off limits. He's not 12. He's speaking like a man. I'll treat him like one. Let's set the scene. It's the next morning. Cable news panels are foaming at the mouth. Fox and Friends calls Melania's statement graceful, motherly, and overdue. MSNBC? They're scrambling for Crockett's full quote to play on loop. Twitter? A war zone. Threads filled with memes, think pieces, and hot takes. But here's what no one expected. Jasmine doubled down. Early that afternoon, she walked straight into a Capitol Hill press pool. No aides, no notes, no hesitation, and made it clear she wasn't going to be anyone's scapegoat. I've been called every name in the book, loud, angry, aggressive. But let me tell you what I won't be called. Silent. Not while this family plays victim and slings dirt behind silk curtains. And she didn't stop there. With a smirk that could slice marble, Jasmine called out Melania's carefully curated image. The demure First Lady who stayed out of politics while quietly endorsing some of the most divisive policies of the Trump era. Y'all keep forgetting. Melania was there when children were being locked in cages. She wore "I really don't care, do you?" while the world burned. So please, spare me the moral lectures on dignity and youth. That moment, it exploded. The clip hit 1 million views in under 4 hours. Hashtag Jasmine snaps, hashtag not today Melania, hashtag Crockett vs Trump. And what did the Trump camp do? They panicked. Suddenly statements were being walked back. A clarification email from Melania's comms director tried to diffuse the situation. Mrs. Trump's intention was not to escalate tension, but to call for civility in political discourse involving family members. Too late. Crockett wasn't just playing defense. She was defining the narrative. In a follow-up interview on Roland Martin's show, she leaned all the way in. Civility? Where was that when her husband was mocking disabled reporters? When he sicked crowds on elected women of color? Civility didn't pay us a visit then, and I'm not renting it a room now. Boom. Let's be real. Jasmine wasn't just sparring. She was educating. She was taking decades of political hypocrisy and boiling it down into a message the public could feel. This wasn't just a fight over Baron Trump. It was a microcosm of everything. The elite shielding their own, weaponizing image, and silencing anyone who dares talk back. By the end of the day, Crockett's approval rating among Gen Z and black voters had spiked. Clips of her speeches were... The silence didn't last long. By midday Friday, someone from the Trump orbit, sources believe it was Eric, leaked a private conversation between Melania and a top donor. The audio? She calls Crockett a disgrace to women in power and says she's the reason politics feels like a shouting match in a beauty salon. Yeah, she said that. And you already know, within minutes, Jasmine Crockett was trending again. She didn't rush to cameras this time. No press conference, no fiery podium rant. No. She went live. On her own Instagram. In a simple blazer, natural light in the background, and that signature "don't test me" tone. She looked straight at the camera, not for drama, but for truth. Let me say this clearly so nobody can pretend they misheard. Being a woman in power doesn't mean being soft-spoken while men burn everything down. And if you think I'm too loud, too bold, too black for your idea of decorum, that's your problem, not mine. The comments exploded, hearts flying, fire emojis, even celebrities jumping in. Kerry Washington, Quinta Brunson, and yes, even Cardi B reposted her. This wasn't just a political clapback, it was a cultural reset. But Crockett wasn't done. She pulled up receipts. In a second post, Jasmine laid out Melania's track record in brutal, bulletproof fashion. Silent on Charlottesville, silent on the Muslim ban, silent on kids in cages, silent when her husband called Haiti a S-hole, silent when black women in Congress were being targeted online. Melania Trump's entire brand is silence until she wants to play the victim. She won't talk when democracy's under attack, but suddenly finds her voice when someone checks her son's privilege? Nah. Cue the headlines. Jasmine Crockett unleashes on Melania's hypocrisy. The View. She said what we were all thinking. The Shade Room just posted one word. Hugh. By the evening, Republican strategists were furious. One anonymous GOP donor told Axios, they should have never let Melania speak. Crockett's turning this into a movement. And they weren't wrong. The Crockett effect was palpable. College campuses, hosting watch parties for her next interviews. Podcasts, devoting full episodes to her takedown of First Lady fragility. Even late-night comedians were weighing in. Jimmy Kimmel joked, Melania came out of hiding just long enough to get verbally body-slammed by someone half her age and twice her IQ. Brutal. But here's the thing. Crockett never got personal. She never mocked Melania's looks, her accent, her marriage. She stayed sharp, factual, and unapologetically political. And that's what made it even more dangerous for the Trump camp. Because they couldn't dismiss her as angry without looking desperate. They couldn't out-debate her. They couldn't cancel her. So instead, they tried to spin. A new narrative began floating across right-wing media. Jasmine Crockett hates mothers. Crockett disrespects families. Why is she obsessed with Trump's child? Cheap shots, weak framing. And guess what? It didn't stick. Because Jasmine had already framed it better. This ain't about a mother or a child. It's about power, privilege, and who gets protected in this country. And when she said that, even some independents started nodding. Monday morning hit like a political thunderclap. C-SPAN cameras flickered on for what was supposed to be a routine committee session. But instead of policy briefings and budget talks, the room buzzed like a live wire. Because Representative Jasmine Crockett walked in ready. A navy blue power suit, no notes, no hesitation. She knew exactly what she was about to do. As murmurs rippled through the chamber, Crockett raised her voice, calm, composed, but cutting. Before we begin today's session, I want to make something very clear to this body, to the American people, and to the former First Lady watching from behind closed doors. Pause. Everyone turned. This Congresswoman is not intimidated by fashion models turned political commentators who suddenly care about public discourse when their family's name is on the line. Dead silence, except for the gasps. Pam Bondi, seated in the back row as a guest advisor that day, visibly tensed. Matt Gaetz tried to interrupt, motioning for order, but Crockett wasn't done. I've sat here and watched the sons of rich white men use every institution in this country to shield themselves. When someone finally challenges their entitlement, suddenly it's bullying. Suddenly it's unfair. Well, guess what? The rest of America is tired of those double standards. Boom, clip, cut, uploaded, exploded. The video hit 3 million views in 40 minutes. And then, the House Oversight Committee issued a formal ethics inquiry. Not into Jasmine, into who leaked Melania's donor call in the first place. Because the suspicion wasn't just about family drama anymore, it was about manipulating media, donor influence, and possible misuse of campaign funds to shape public perception. CNN's Jake Tapper called it one of the most bizarre political spirals of the year. MSNBC dubbed it Crockett's Reckoning. Even the New York Times ran a piece titled, "When Power Meets Nerve, the Crockett Surge." Melania? Vanished again. No press, no tweets, no statements. And in her silence, Jasmine's narrative only grew louder. Late-night Twitter turned into an all-night rally. Hashtag Crockett Clapback trended globally. Dozens of black women in politics, from mayors to city council members, posted side-by-side videos saying, "We got her back." This wasn't just a moment, it was a movement. Meanwhile, the Trump camp scrambled. An internal memo leaked to Politico revealed their panic. Do not engage Crockett. She wins every exchange. Divert attention, shift narrative, do not mention Barron. Too late. Crockett was now fielding interview requests from everywhere. NPR, CNN, BBC, even The Breakfast Club. And when asked why she thought the backlash had gotten so intense, her answer was simple. Because I'm not supposed to talk like this. Because I'm not supposed to be here, in these halls, with this much voice. And because when a black woman starts calling out the architecture of privilege, it shakes people. No yelling, no finger-pointing, just that quiet, razor-sharp truth. Even her critics started to backpedal. One conservative commentator on Fox News admitted, "I don't agree with her politics, but Crockett is clearly commanding the narrative. The White House better be watching her closely." And they were. Sources from within the Biden team confirmed that Crockett's stock was rising, fast. Mentions of her name in internal campaign strategy meetings, discussions of how to harness her momentum with younger voters, even whispers about bigger roles in the future. But back on the Hill, she stayed focused. When asked about Melania one last time as she left a hearing room, she didn't even pause. She had her moment. She used it to lie. I used mine to lead. By Friday, it wasn't just a DC drama. It was a global political event. Croatian tabloids screamed, "Melania's American Storm!" British commentators chuckled on air. Only in America could a fashion model and a congresswoman ignite an international scandal over the first son's ego. But in the U.S., Jasmine Crockett was everywhere, and she knew it. So she used it. Saturday morning, a press conference was scheduled, not by Congress, not by the White House, but by Crockett herself. Held outside the Capitol, on the steps. She didn't bring aides, she didn't bring a podium, just a single microphone and a folder. The crowd? Packed. Reporters, staffers, activists, cameras. She started calmly. "This week we watched the full machine of political privilege try to chew me up. A mother stepped in for her son. The media circled. The internet spiraled. And through it all, they expected me to back down. But here's the thing." She opened the folder, pulled out a copy of Barron Trump's recent social media post, the one with the thinly veiled swipe at women in politics, deleted within minutes after it sparked backlash. Held it up for the cameras. When a young man raised in wealth and power mocks women fighting for justice, that's not immaturity, that's training. And it's time we start naming that. Boom. Then she pulled out another page. Melania's leaked campaign donor email marked confidential, calling Jasmine a publicity opportunist and instructing staff to neutralize her before midterms. She looked into the crowd and said, "Neutralize? Sweetheart, you're not running Vogue. This is Congress, and I don't wear silence like a designer dress." The crowd erupted. Clip after clip hit the web with captions like, "She ended them on the Capitol steps. This is how you drag with class. Crockett 2028. Even typically